Oh, the good news was the other meeting ended as you and I were saying goodbye. It was not that close when we started.
Hello, everybody. We'll get started in about 5 minutes. We have a screen that says PRNC member. Buzz, can you hear me?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
But then they were.
Oh, they're connecting to
Yep.
audio. Okay.
And that PRNC member was on the previous call too.
Hi, PRNC member. Could you identify yourself? Unmute. Oh, Graham? No. Okay. Hi, Graham. All meetings all the time. Hi, Phil. How are you? I'm good. We're about to hear a recap. Hi, Norma.
Oh, good evening.
Norma, still, if you haven't got satisfaction, if you'll send me photos of that particular dip in the road you're talking about. I haven't been able
Thanks.
to identify it, or just maybe give me just a little more details. And because Caesar and I are working on a lot of traffic related stuff right now, but there's literally like 100 things. So we want to push it forward.
Sure, I have not yet gone down to look at it to find it, but
Okay.
I will.
I couldn't
Thank you.
exactly understand what it was. So anyway, we're happy to liaise and we're happy to, bring things forward, which is actually quite a bit of what this meeting is about today. So it's kind of nice. We're having open mic night. So people, instead of just wedging in a few people for a minute or two at the end, people can have 5 minutes and we'll have time to respond and fill in. And I still see PRNC member. Are you still there?
Yeah.
Still there. Who else is there?
Mindy, Eric. I'm not sure who Andib is. Hi, Mindy.
Hi.
Does the dog get to vote?
I think the dog's mother is a member, and I think they have a family membership.
And Pinto should get 5 votes.
I'm just a resident and a member, and
That's fine. I was just
interested.
No, we're really happy to have everybody. Everybody's welcome. The one thing we had noticed in some previous meetings is that we had a lot of anonymous people, and either on in person or on Zoom, we do want to know who's with us, but everyone is welcome. And I'm going to take a quick call from somebody and I'll be back in 1 minute. Hi, Caesar.
Hey, Philip.
Sorry, folks. As you may have noticed, if you read the agenda, we are having a little bit of we are having an election, and there was a little glitch with our person who's running. We can certainly start in a moment, but he just needed to log in. So I just sent him the login information again. Lisa's here. Mindy. Jake, welcome. It's nice to see your J.C. Penney model catalog face smiling at us. Here's Eric.
Sorry, it's better than what I look like right now. I'm breaking down some recycling.
Well, a few weeks ago, I had been testing my camera out and never turned it off. So consequently, a few meetings ago, when we got into the meeting, the whole meeting went with just my glamour shot because I hadn't realized why Lisa Johnson looks dressed for a business meeting. All right, folks, let's give it just 2 more minutes because a lot of people, for those of you who are not aware, we just had an LUDRC meeting, which is the Land Use and Design Review. And they are meeting with local residents groups concerning the Keller Beach Sewer Project, which we're going to hear about from Charmaine, hopefully when she clicks in, and in a little while in the meeting. And also Graham was there and Caesar. Caesar, were you in that meeting?
Yes, he was.
Okay, so there's if we don't catch Charmaine in time, we can just get a little bit of a recap from somebody else who was there. We're pretty casual. Peter, there's a fashion model looking woman just wandering around behind you like she's lost. There she is.
Lock up.
Are you practicing your summer beach pose, Sue?
Oh, yeah.
All righty.
Where did he go?
All righty. It looks like not a ton of people, but I'm going to give it a couple more minutes for people to come on in. Summer tends to be poorly attended or a little less attended. And we know that we don't have a speaker today, which a lot of people really like because it's us. Shenna, are you the real estate agent?
Yes, I am.
I do believe you did a kick-butt job on selling my neighbor's house on Nickel Avenue.
Well, thank you very much.
It was a spectacular sale. Oh,
So,
Officer Melgoza is here, perhaps. We were not sure if you were going to make it. We understand things are tense right now, and we'll fully understand if you need to drop out.
I am so surprised you're here because I was texting with Ben to confirm because you were at the same site and he didn't think you were going to make it.
Yeah, I jumped out real quick to go to some other calls, but I figured I'd try and jump on with you guys for a few minutes if you had any quick questions.
Thank you.
Let's start this meeting then. I'd like to call the meeting to order at 7:34. We can call it 7:35 to make the record keeping easier. Concerning the minutes from last time, I do have one correction on the minutes, which was Women's West Side will be returning from their vacation on September 11th. They take July and August off, and they're returning on September 11th. That date came up wrong on the minutes. Did anyone else have anything to say about the minutes?
No.
Nope, we're in good shape.
I second, or motion to approve.
Seconded.
Seconded.
Okay,
yes.
Great. Minutes are approved with that one change. Let's go directly. What is RPD still with us?
No, he's there. He's there.
He's here.
Oh, okay.
I'm here.
Let's go directly to RPD. We know there's been some pretty scary stuff going on in our immediate neighborhood today. So thank you for protecting us from bad situations. And what do you have for us? And for those of you who've just come on, it's quite possible that the police will be a little bit busy this evening. So
Yeah,
We'll
we're
see.
pretty busy. We're calling in officers from weekend and just trying to staff minimum right now with everything going on and everybody. So, I'm sure most of you already read the news. We had an officer involved shooting over on Sanderling Island, and just kind of still under investigation, but all the officers are okay, and the suspect's no longer with us. So I'm not sure, can't reveal too much, but that's about all I can give you at the moment.
Are you at liberty to share anything that was also in the press article? I know I had emailed you about this by fortuitously yesterday because I'd seen the spot crime reports giving an update about an event that happened late Sunday night, early Monday morning, about 3 arrests. I don't know if it was 1 or 3 arrests or 1 or 2 assaults regarding a brandishing event on 100 block of Washington. The news article seemed to suggest it was related.
It is related.
Okay. Because that was kind of scary. I didn't know what was going on in that event on Washington either.
Yeah, so it's all a related event, all tied in together.
Okay.
So I think that's going to be actually a pretty newsworthy event. So we'll probably be reading about it in the paper and certainly on social media tomorrow. And
Yeah, I'm sure there's news trucks all over the scene. I literally am maybe 3 blocks from there now, just leaving to go to handle some other stuff. But yeah, there'll be a lot, I'm sure, in the news. And then once we have everything kind of cleaned up on the next meeting, I might be able to jump on and speak to you guys directly and reveal a little bit more that the news doesn't, what we can give you.
Okay.
But there's the community's not a danger. There's no longer any danger. Everything's totally safe.
Okay. And I know there's other stuff going on that public might not be aware of, so I'm gonna let you go. You've got a lot to deal with tonight, so
I appreciate it.
thank you for joining. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Thank you.
popping in.
And thank goodness everyone's well, like in the
Yeah.
police
Yes. Yeah,
department.
all our officers are safe.
Stay
Thank you guys for
safe.
your
I know you
support.
got other stuff, so continue to stay safe.
All right. You guys have a good night.
Thank you.
Graham, I'm sorry. Graham, I didn't catch your hand. The officers are actually involved in something pretty serious right now. So
Sure. Phil, I just wanted to ask to make sure that all of the RPD staff was safe, and obviously they are. So that's good.
correct. at
Yeah,
this
and for
point.
those that you don't know, there was another woman in the house, the victim's mother, and she was unharmed in the event. So just so you know.
Yeah, so yeah, kind of pretty scary set of circumstances today in the Brickyard Cove area. That was out on the Spits, right?
Yeah, and and on Sunday night around 2:30 in the morning.
Same
Sunday
location?
morning. No, 100 block of Washington Avenue. There was a brandishing event, and an assault, and an arrest. So this is connected. So
Yeah, and we're working closely with Caesar and RPD. I do want to address the elephant in the room. There is a serious increase still, again, of unhoused folks who are under the influence of drugs or mental illness. And so we are starting to see a pretty regular, there were 4 people having episodes when I walked my dog today. And I do work, I only walk him around the elementary school block. So it's one big block. So we are continuing to work with that. And maybe Lisa can touch on, I think Lisa was recently with Michelle Milan. So maybe we can do that. Cordell, did you have a question concerning crime?
Yes, and I thought there would be, Officer Melgoza or Sergeant Tagoda would be here to address it. So I guess they're not on the line. So
Right. I think you just popped in. There is an emergency in progress. All police and off-duty police are called away right now.
Well, here's what I was going to address, Sergeant Tagoda, and because this was brought to my attention of. So I think last week a lady, this lady came inside Kaleidoscope, and the one that we had me, it was myself and one of the baristas. We had to like escort her off the premises because she keep, you know, like she's like, that's the same lady, that's the same person that that OD'd on the and okay, one of the baristas had to call the ambulance, and it's like, and it took them an hour to get there. By the time I left, and it was like they showed up like around 7. So what I was going to tell them is like if we could have like extra patrol along Park Place, because this person keeps coming inside businesses and it scares the customers too. So that was my that's what I was going to address the officers.
I understand, and I see your hand up, Norma. I just would like to make a really emphatic comment. First of all, we are working on a safety and crime prevention meeting with Michelle. It will be publicly announced. We do not have a date. The first half of the meeting will be a review of what's happening with the unhoused situation and its possible effect on our crime rate. The second half of the meeting will be an opportunity for us to set up neighborhood crime watches and tips on how to participate without, even if you're not formally involved. The one thing that all of those, both law enforcement and mental health issues, want to reiterate 100% is that if you see someone who is in trouble, if they're dancing in the middle of the street, if they're attacking cars, if they're laying on the ground, if they appear to be in distress, dial 911 and don't think twice about it. 911 will do what they call a welfare check, and then they will decide if the person needs help and if the mental health people can be called. But I recently got an email from somebody who told me something that happened the day before, where she realized that a woman, an unhoused woman, had been raped and dumped out of a car and was now passed out on the street. And the next day she told me the story. So, because she didn't know what to do. And so what she needed to do was call 911 to see if this woman is now wandering partially clothed around Point Richmond. So we haven't been able to find her, but they are actually, they're actively seeking her. So please call 911. Don't be shy. These people are not going to get in trouble. If they need help, call 911. If it's just another problem, the second step will be calling police non-emergency, and they will liaise. You do not have to know all 9 of the phone numbers which we have been given and figure out what's going on. So this is kind of a crisis for those of us who live in the Old Point, because the streets are becoming a little bit scary right now. Norma?
Hi, Phil. Hi, everyone. Thanks. So I wanted to share a experience that I had personally with an unhoused individual. Monday morning, I had noticed a car parked with like sheets in the window, hanging in the window to protect them. I thought from the sun, innocently. I thought, oh, okay. I ran into a visitor who told me that this person he had seen this person go into Kaleidoscope to use the bathroom. And it's clearly they're car camping. I got the license plate, I called it in, started texting my neighbors to alert them. One told me that he had over the weekend asked 2 different self-contained vans parked on Martina to move on. He said, no car camping on this block. You need to move on. You need to go somewhere else. So he and I combined our brilliant gray matter to conclude very cleverly that they talk among each other. And for some reason, in a matter of 4 days, we had 3 different homeless people camping here, car camping.
Lisa, what happened across from how many campers? And there were like 11 campers and cars across from Milo in a matter of days or something?
It was about there, but what Norma says is very correct. They clearly communicate amongst themselves. We just had another area where 3 RVs showed up simultaneously in a spot. So Norma, if you
I wanted to give more information.
Yeah.
So So while I'm calling the police back to provide them more detail on with specifics, the guy gets out of his car. I mean, I thought he was going to throw up, but he's just like getting out of his car. He starts to walk down towards the carport that my friend had cleaned up the prior morning from being used as a toilet. I'll spare you the details. I call out to him. He goes the other direction towards Kaleidoscope, I assume. I'm calling the police back and they say, oh, no, the ticket's been cleared. And this is the concern I want to bring to the group, as well as the detail on the situation. The ticket was cleared. The registration is on Cottage, so there's no problem. And I said, if there's no problem, why did he go to the bathroom in the carport when he could have gone home? Maybe the car is stolen. Oh, well, we'll have to have the officer. So, I mean, it went on from there. Meantime, I hang up and the guy's buddy in a white vehicle, he was in a medium gray Ford Focus 4-door with nothing apparently wrong, but a lot of Catholic church bumper stickers all over it. His buddy pulls up to jumpstart the car. So, I mean, I think there's a law against not being able to get your car started and move along. And then while they're there doing that, a third vehicle, a third friend pulls up and stops to chat with them. And that one's in a van. So, I mean, I'm fine going out and staring at people, but then I realize, what have I just done? All these guys know where I live.
Right. It's not
So,
safe.
yeah,
Don't
there you
be
go.
shy. Continue to call.
Yeah, Norma, if you are aware of this happening, can I please ask you to just take a picture from a safe distance, get the license plate information, and please text it to me. I am in constant contact with Michelle and Robert Preston, Michelle Malam and Robert Preston from CORE. And I am trying to get these situations addressed in real time with CORE. So anybody, not just Norma, if you have concerns about somebody living in their vehicle, the first thing we want to do is get them help from CORE and get them in contact with services. So please, I will put my cell phone number and I will put my email address in the chat. And please don't hesitate about texting me or contacting me so that I can reach out to them in real time and send the information. Pictures help, because then I can get that information to CORE and to RPD.
Yes, thank you. That'd be great. And I was happy to hear about the neighborhood watch being on the agenda, because I've yesterday started to collect people's contact info so we could have a neighborhood alert. I mean, just a little conversation, because we're a tiny couple of blocks and this is just not good. So
Right.
thank you. I will.
And it's happening all over. It's happening in front of Miller Knox Park. There's a couple vans there now. There's an RV. The RPD was very responsive with CORE with addressing Milo. We got it K-railed. I heard they put in a couple more K-rails because they drove over the curb behind a K-rail and dumped a boat now. So there's more K-rails. And the city is very responsive about cleaning up dumping. I've got Hugo on my own 911 with him. So him and his staff come out the same day if I get a hold of them in the morning. So the city is really desperately trying to help. I met with Michelle Malam and Mark Tagliotti and Greg Hardesty from Public Works this morning. And we reviewed the fencing all in front of the spot underneath the 580 overpass. And we're going to be getting quotes for the part of the fence from Caltrans and part of the fence on BNSF property. And Michelle is going to be trying to work with BNSF to get federal funds to put updated called no-cut fence along the entire BNSF rail line on Railroad Avenue. But that's going to take a little while to get that. She's going to work with them to remove all of the railroad ties that are still there. And we did get an $8.6 million grant. The city did. There were 8 grants awarded this cycle to help address homeless encampments in the Bay Area. And Richmond was number 2. We got $8.6 million. And the reason Richmond got more money than a lot of the other cities was because we are using it to help do Caltrans right-of-ways, because Richmond is not getting good funding from the state. We're kind of a second-class citizen there too. So anything we can do to help get funding and help Caltrans is what's going on right now. And so Caltrans is giving us an easement to address that fencing. So we're gonna be getting an estimate. We're gonna be looking at replacing fencing and hardening that and part of the area on Railroad. And then we're gonna have to get more money and work with BNSF because that's their land and their fence. So it's happening. It's just not going to happen tomorrow. So please continue to be patient. And as Philip said, if you see an event, you have to report it because RPD needs the data to help make our cases.
Right. And before we move on, I do want to point out that there's a very good chance we will have license plate scanning cameras. That's on its way and it looks positive. This will not show people, but it will deter drug activity, because people's vehicles will be recorded as coming, stopping, going, coming, stopping, going. And for those of us who live in the neighborhood or own businesses in the neighborhood, we know who the drug dealers are. We see them all day long. But now there'll be some kind of record. And if those people are doing crimes in other areas, in other cities, they will be part of this database and it will ping our police and say a wanted drug dealer is in your neighborhood. So I know that it can be a little bit challenging and people have mixed feelings about cameras, and privacy issues, but this again is just to track license tags and they will only ping if the license tags are recorded to have been involved in crimes. I do want to move on. Thanks for Norma. Thanks for caring. Lisa, thanks for that review. Let's talk about what's going on. In a few minutes, we're going to meet Eric Naprella. Welcome, Eric. And Eric is running for Buzz's position against Eric. So we will be shortly voting to vote Eric in. He'll introduce himself, tell us, for a few minutes, tell us a little bit about himself. I have a meeting with a contractor for the city who is inquiring about Republic Services and people's opinions about Republic Services. It is believed that the city council is looking to replace Republic Services. A lot of policy people think that might be a mistake. So here's what I have is some feedback from the general public of things that some neighbors wanted me to bring up about their opinions of what's going on with trash. So I'm going to list those. And then if you would like to add a couple, really briefly, just like one sentence, I will report those opinions or thoughts for Republic Services. More importantly, on the first email that we sent out over the weekend, I gave you a link where you can just link to that and actually take the survey. I took it myself. And I would encourage you to take it, particularly those of you who are affected by odor from the dump. Or the whatever that I'm just going to say the dump. I don't know what the politically correct term is.
Composting facility.
Composting facility. So that the dump. So I'm sorry, I refuse to be politically correct, Lisa, on dumping. So what I have heard so far is that we want to go back to twice weekly pickups of trash around downtown Point Richmond, around the Triangle and the elementary school and the Plunge. This is not specifically Republic Services. This is the city. But obviously, we used to have it when we didn't need it. Then they took it away. Now everyone knows it's a trash heap downtown. So that was one thing. We still have complaints about odor from the composting dump. People who lived in apartment buildings were saying that some of them did not have enough trash bins. And that what we know is leading to some people who live in apartments of just taking their household trash and dumping it either on the corner next to the trash bins or filling up our trash bins, the public trash bins. So again, those of you downtown know it happens all the time. Those bins are not intended to have 4 or 5 bags of household trash in them. They're just for your paper cups and stuff. And better signage and directive about what goes into recycling. They call it wish cycling, where people just say, I really hope that if I just throw my old steam iron in the recycling bin, I wish that they will recycle it. And a lot of the things that we're throwing into recycling bins are actually stopping them from recycling things. They interfere with the machinery. So that's a request that we've had, better signage. Would anyone like to add something to that? And then, of course, you can go back and link to that questionnaire and directly have plenty of time to answer. Anybody, Republic Services related stuff? Mary Lee, unmute yourself.
I didn't see the survey, so.
If you will go back to your PRNC, the first email that came, we sent 2 emails because I forgot to send the link.
So it was in the first one?
Yeah, it was in the first one, and it was just in the body of the newsletter email. So what happens is we write those newsletters, and then as things come up between the time we write the newsletter and the time we send them out, we just put them in the body of the email.
Okay, well, I'll go fishing for it.
If you don't find it, Mary Lee, shoot me a note. Actually, surprisingly, and I'm from Florida, a lot of people like myself find Republic Services to be doing a pretty good job. So, that's what I hear. I don't know. Norma?
Hi, thanks. Quickly, I don't know if it's a law, but I don't need a pickup a week. I could do with half of that for my trash. Well, everything.
So you're suggesting that people have a more flexible schedule and presumably to pay less?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Funny you should mention that. They tried it in Florida and it drove the trashmen so crazy trying to remember who they had to and who didn't, that they tried it and just discontinued it. But I'm going to add it, half days. And I will mention for those of you from the old days, we have a half-size trash can and we pay less because it's just 2 of us in our household. So smaller trash cans are available at a lower price. Just a heads up on that.
I have the small trash can now.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you, Norma. Michael?
Well, I was just going to say that too. Thank you, Phil. Also, if there ever is a change, I hope that we can all abdicate to keep the same workers. The guys that pick up here are careful and they shouldn't be out without a job because their boss screwed up.
Yeah, I don't know how that would work, but I agree. They're very
I know how that
respectful in my
works. Put
neighborhood.
it in the contract with the new people that they have to give an opportunity for the people to go to work for them. That's how you do it.
Okay,
That's
I'll
perfect.
add that to my list. Thanks. Gary?
Yeah, I'll just make a comment. We've talked to the trash guys and from a service standpoint, for residences, we've been very happy with it. And one of the things they mentioned to us is, if we don't have a full trash can, it's gonna wait for another week and don't put it out there, it actually helps them. So the answer is you don't have to put everything, I don't always put everything out there. I put out what stuff is full, it's ready to go. And then, it just helps them provide service. They don't have to take 1/3 level trash cans. So helps the service. But anyway, residents, I've been very happy with that. And they've been very
Yeah, we live in single family. So, a lot of times I'll just grab my bag and stuck it on top of somebody else's if I have one small bag.
Yeah.
For that reason, that's just less noise in the morning. All right, so now I have a list for that. The July meeting, just a heads up, at this point, we suspect that we will be reviewing the emergency evacuation plans and an upcoming, and Lisa Johnson, because she's Lisa and has 12 computers and 15 eyes and 20 hands, has already posted that survey in the chat. So you can grab it there if you know how. So we're going to have an evacuation plans for Brickyard Cove, and there's going to be a drill. So we think that by July, we hope our guest will be Lisa and company, reviewing how that happened and how that worked for our Brickyard Cove residents. And of course, there is no evacuation plan in Point Richmond that doesn't involve all of Point Richmond because of the tunnel and the trains and Western Avenue, and how difficult it is and how few evacuation places we have. So I think that meeting, if it goes, if this is how this meeting unfolds, will lead to us hopefully talking about evacuation of the whole neighborhood. So we're running a little bit behind. So I am going, we're running quite behind somehow, but we'll catch up. I'm going to throw this meeting over to the nominating committee. So let's see that would be Peter, I think, to introduce Eric and then hold a vote to have Eric come on board to replace Buzz as membership chair and second vice president.
Hey, everybody. So in the center of my screen, you'll see Eric Naprala. He just waved. And if you take a close look at him, you take a close look at Buzz, you'll see that Lisa and I did a very careful job of finding somebody that looks like Buzz, so there won't be too much confusion. Just imagine him a little grayer, and there you go. So, but anyway, I'd like to introduce Buzz. Yeah, there's Buzz. I'd like to introduce Eric. So Lisa and I and Buzz, we interviewed a few people for this position, and we whittled it down to Eric as the choice that we'd like to nominate. And I'd like to introduce him and have him say a few words about himself, if he's
Sure. Thanks, Peter. And good evening. My name is Eric Naprella. I'm a California native. However, I grew up primarily up in the Northwest, up in Seattle. I've been back in the Bay Area for about 20 years, in Point Richmond specifically for about 5. I live up off of Golden Gate Ave. And I also lived previously out in Brickyard for a couple of years as well. I've worked in government my entire career. 20 plus years. I was in the Coast Guard for 4 years. And since then, I've been in maritime transportation. I worked at a small bulk port in Redwood City. And now I work for a much larger port. I work for the Port of Oakland, where I'm a manager. I'm the chief wharfinger and oversee our operations. And in that role, I've done everything from project development, land use, dealing with land use issues. Currently, I oversee operations and work with the BNSF and a number of other agencies and business entities. My job also, I overlap quite a bit with OPD, Oakland Police Department, Fire Department, the City of Oakland, and just kind of reflecting on. Well, I'm excited to be here. I want to get involved in kind of reflecting on. There's a lot of overlap with what I do in my personal career, working in government and in transportation, with community here, and with my knowledge and experience and my work history, and also my interest in becoming more involved in community matters. I look forward to participating and sharing what I can to make Point Richmond the best it can be. So I really appreciate this opportunity. I look forward to meeting all of you, and again, thank you very much.
Thanks, Eric. Take it from here, Peter.
All right. So, Eric we're nominating him for the membership chair, and we don't have anybody for him to run against. So this will be an interesting vote. So,
should you ask if there's anybody there who wants to run?
Would anybody else like to run for this position against Eric? Anybody who would like to nominate themselves or somebody they know?
I'd like to know what you promised him to get him.
A date with you, Michael.
I
Yes.
like speed, though, and dancing, Lisa.
He's yours. Anybody can have him.
Lisa, this is not okay, Cupid, okay? Let's get back to business.
We promise him free ice cream at Kaleidoscope once a year, so that's more than the rest of us.
So Peter, would you like to move that we take a vote to install Eric?
I would, if nobody else wants to nominate themselves or somebody else, I move that we vote and see how many people would like Eric to run, or if anybody has any objections. This is kind of like a wedding, if anybody has objections,
Actually,
now
parliamentarily, you just have to have someone move for a unanimous ballot. And you have to ask for 3 times if there's anyone else that wants to run, and then you vote for it.
You see, Phil, this is why I said we should have Michael Nye be our nominating committee, and nobody else.
Okay, you've asked twice. I'll ask the third time. I'm a licensed auctioneer in 17 states. This is our last and final call for anybody else who wants to run, going once, going twice. Peter?
And then it's a vote of members in good standing.
Yes.
Right. If you are a current member, either please physically raise your hand or just raise your hand on your screen. And it looks like everybody.
Then vote if anybody does not, ask if anybody does not support it, and please raise your hand. So everybody lower your hands.
Okay. We have to count this, Lisa.
How did my hand get raised? I didn't even.
Hey, wait a minute. Yeah.
Okay, so now anybody opposed to Eric, please raise your hand.
Do we have a thumbs down symbol? No. Okay.
I don't see
Okay.
anybody. I've gone to both pages and I see nobody raising their hands in opposition. So
Eric, just like me, you were unanimously voted in. Congratulations.
Yay!
Thank you.
It was a landslide. And Eric and the other board members are being asked to stay on 5 or 10 minutes after this meeting, which I'll try to move
Yes.
along.
And I'd just like to
things.
say one more thing. Eric, can you pronounce your last name for me?
Naprella.
Napralla. All right.
Yeah.
Very good.
And thank you, Peter, and nominating committee. They actually did go through quite a lot of interviews, quite a lot of people to get us to this super nice guy.
And Lisa and Buzz.
Right. And
We drank a lot of coffee at Kaleidoscope.
There you go. Now we're going to move on. Margie's out of town. Buzz is going to give us the treasurer's report in her place.
Yes, I am. And we have $3,500 in or plus in the PayPal account. And we have 18, which adds to the checking account of a little over $18,000 for a grand total of 21. And we still have, I believe, some outstanding expenses that are going to deduct from there having to do with the mural, but those are ongoing. We also have in excess of 100, by my rough count, 170 people as members. You notice how I segued right in there, Phil, to the membership. See, just saving time. That's all. It's all those years of
Take note of that
experience.
professionalism, Eric.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Buzz. Everybody, please give a real or a virtual round of applause to Buzz, who's been with us since Point Richmond was founded in 1879. And I do anticipate that we'll probably see him maybe one more meeting as we make this transition. Buzz has promised to be adjacent to the board and help out now and then, as if he had.
And Philip's not kidding. Buzz's families came over on the Mayflower.
Literally.
Literally. I'm not kidding. That's true.
And then when they got here, they saw Chevron was here and they knew they had jobs.
Yay, so we're almost made up on time.
I know, it's amazing. Okay,
one
Board
final-
member update.
Right, I'm gonna start. Oh, did somebody have a comment?
One final word. One
Yes,
final
sir.
word. Eric, welcome aboard.
Welcome aboard, Eric.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I've just given updates, and I know Lisa's given a lot of updates. I just wanted to let you know, and I'm so sorry that Margie is not here, that with impossible odds and bureaucratic red tape behind that a horror movie, a Wes Craven movie couldn't illustrate, Charmaine Tyler got that tunnel painted with Margie Sullivan, with the original artist, on budget and to the minute, just under the wire. It was a nightmare, and we're still wrapping up the paperwork, but that tunnel is good for the rest of most of our lives, we think. So thank you, Charmaine, and thank you, Margie, who's not here. If you see Margie in her gallery, stick your head in and please thank her. She's very humble, and as is Charmaine, they don't like to bring a lot of attention to themselves. Folks, you have no idea what they had to do. It was stunning. And now,
And Phil, trust me, Margie would rather be here than sitting on some airplane, which is where she is. So
yeah, and we've got to, I'm going to crash Charmaine and Margie's meeting. Charmaine is not happy to hear that, just to make sure that, if they need me, the paperwork gets in. And then we'll go down the pike. Lisa?
I have two quick updates. So last month we had Chevron come and give an update, and one of their updates was on the Chevron gas station at Cutting and Canal. So if any of you have walked or driven by there this week, you will see that starting on Monday, they closed it and fenced it off for tank cleaning, which began this week. The tank removal is anticipated to occur the week of July 10th. The station will remain closed until the fueling reopens, which is approximately going to be the end of September.
Wow.
So banners have been placed on the fence directing customers to another Chevron station, and I will continue to share any updates as I get them from Chevron. They sent me this update at 5:02 this afternoon. So that's the plan. Again, it's closed down. Tank removal starts July 10th, and the station is scheduled to reopen the end of September. And I have one other quick update, also Chevron related. Last month, they also, people were asking them for an update on the wharf oil spill that occurred in 2021. And we will send out an email, I think, next week, potentially along with National Night Out information. And you will get this. Contra Costa Health sent out the notice yesterday through their hazardous materials program. And this was delayed a little bit by COVID, but the city council chambers on July 13th from 7 to 9 p.m., there will be a public meeting to review the root cause analysis report of the wharf oil spill. There will be a 45-day comment period, which will open on July 3rd, next Monday, or whatever day that is. Is that Monday? And close on August 17th. So you'll have 45 days to comment on it, and then there will be a public meeting during that interim period. So if you want to add additional comment after you've gone, if you do attend the public meeting, you can do so, because you might hear other people say stuff and you might want to add it to your own commentary. So that's the current status, and we will send this entire Contra Costa County Health update next week to all the Prnc memberships. So.
And Lisa, if you would just make note of those dates you just gave us while we're at it, we'll talk about the gas station because everyone's going to be asking.
I'll put them all in the chat for people, okay?
Right, and then we'll have our flyer to save the date for Tuesday, August 1st for our National Night Out. We're going to use the same DJ we used for the same spring fling. I think it's going to be much more animated. That will be from 5:30 to 8:30, 5:30 to 8:30 on Tuesday, August 1st. For those of you who belong to organizations or churches or run businesses, we want you in the street. This is all about meeting your neighbors. There's no charge to have a booth. If you come with a table, you'll just set it up, and it's just all like basically a neighborhood block party. Thank you. Buzz, did you have any particular reports you'd like to make?
Nope.
Thank you, Buzz. Always succinct. He needs to be the next president. The meetings will last 40 minutes. Peter, anything from you? No, nothing from the peanut gallery there. Did you ask your wife whether she had anything?
Here she is.
Well, he's allergic to peanuts, so we
Oh.
can't be a peanut gallery. But I have nothing to add. Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you. And who am I forgetting? All right, Marge's not here. And Charmaine, you're going to report on the LUDRC in a few minutes. Did you want to share anything or anything about the tunnel project, which you spearheaded?
Right. Yeah, everybody should come out and look at the tunnel. And I guess the one thing that I didn't hear mentioned yet is that we're working on some signage and we're working on a dedication ceremony. So stay tuned for more information once we get that organized. So I'm still finishing up the paperwork, which I have to have done tomorrow, which I'm almost done with. But I did have a question for Lisa. You were talking about the Chevron station. We spent a few months with LUDRC, helping them redesign, et cetera. We also spent a few months with the company that bought the property across the street from the gas station. I think it was Duke Realty. And I heard somewhere that they sold, even though it's under construction, they sold that whole project to another company. And I heard that they're not necessarily honoring all the things that we asked them to do. Do you know anything about that?
I have not heard that. So if you would like to connect me offline with anything you may have in more detail, I will reach out to Lena. She's coming back July 5th. She's currently on vacation. She's coming back on July 5th. I already just emailed about that lot because they are responsible for all of the 6-foot tall weeds that are growing on the public sidewalk, which is now considered their land, to the street and inside of the fence. So I have turned them in violation of code enforcement. So they're turned in, as is the PG&E lot down here with 6-foot tall weeds. So I will reach out to Lena when she's back next week if you want to contact me and give me any specifics you may have heard.
What is the name of that company that bought that project?
Prologis.
Oh, okay.
And one of the things
they to do the same thing. Is it the same kind of development?
They are the ones that Prologis is the one that's building it out. So Duke got all the entitlements and then they sold it as to the builder Prologis to actually do the building. And I don't know who the actual client is going to be that's going to use that as their distribution center. If it's not Prologis, I don't know that for sure. But if you know of any specifics, please let me know and I can relay those to Lena and see if there needs to be an update given to the LUDRC.
Thank you. And Charmaine, it might be nice if we can try to go back and look at those plans. I don't know what we can do at this point. None of us remember anything. Now, artist renderings are always misleading, of course, but anything that was as monstrously large as that. But that's for somebody with better expertise like Rod or someone to take a look and see if this project is physically coming out quite different than it was supposed to be. And what could we do now that it's up, you know? Gary?
Yeah, I think one of the things I really mentioned on the mural is if you've ever, those of you that have actually gone in the auditorium see the huge mural on the back wall, and that was done by John Worley, and just a fantastic piece of work, and it's just so great to see. John is one came out and actually did the work up there, you know, on the crane stuff, actually doing the painting, and he came back out to do this because he said he's pretty well retired. I wasn't sure how many things he was doing. It was so great that he was willing to come out and do the work that he did on the mural. It's just fantastic. If you haven't been in the auditorium, you really ought to go in and take a look at that mural on the back wall. That's his handiwork.
Right, and if you haven't, you can go. Just tell the person at the front desk you just
Yeah.
want to look around. You don't have to pay to get in. Yeah, thanks for pointing that out. What a star. That guy is, it makes you know that you're only as old as you feel. I'm sorry, as old as you, never mind. That at any age, you can do amazing work up in the air. Okay, this whole line is going badly. All right, so that's member updates. Let's move on to open mic night. So this is basically like community, what is usually just open comments, but you have a few more minutes. If you want to bring up a topic for us to discuss, I see that Caesar's listening in and I'm taking notes. And this includes
here.
future meetings or right, future meetings or whatever you'd like from us to pass on. I see Cordell has his hands up.
Yes, so I was gonna start off with a joke, but then I said I'll skip that for in a minute. So I do have some topics to consider for the next agenda. So here it is. So I was thinking that we ought to invite Fire Chief Montoya to come and speak to us about what is going on with the fire department. And I think since we are going to be we're already in wildfire season, sort of. And I say, because I think I mentioned it 2 times before, and then that's one suggestion. And then the other suggestion was which is kind of ties into the RNCC report, which I will give later on. I did had an idea for another topic, which I think this might ties in. So I was thinking at some point we ought to invite Superintendent Dr. Hurst to come and speak to us about bringing back the public safety, because this has been an issue for quite some time. And I said maybe we ought to invite Superintendent Hurst to come to one of our meetings and tell us what the district has planned, like to bring back the officers in the schools. So that's another suggestion. And then I thought I had another one, but the mind will come back. It'll come back to me. So
Right.
those are the only topics I have.
We had fire at the middle/end of the summer last year, so it may be a good time to have them back again for some updates. And we are also working with the PTA. Thank you, Cesar, for years and years and years to try to increase crosswalk safety. Cesar and I have some ideas that are formulating to try to do some short-term immediate things for traffic safety while we scratch like chickens for the money to do a more permanent traffic safety plan. But Cesar and I and the PTA have walked this neighborhood for hours recently, and he has some really clever ideas that were really surprisingly simple and affordable. So more to follow on that. I want you to know that we do care. And for the first time in 8 years, we have a politician who's listening, and we have a voice in the city on this, because no matter how many people get injured or hurt or run over by cars, we seem invisible, or we did until Cesar came on. So thanks for that. Norma?
Hi, Phil. Thanks for the time. Oh, I don't know. I have feedback.
No, you're good.
Okay.
Oh, you're good on our end.
Let's see. I think my concerns are focused on traffic, and I have a very personal reason that motivates me regarding traffic and pedestrian safety, because if drivers get frustrated, pedestrians are going to pay. So Phil, you and I had exchanged some correspondence about a combination of suggestions that I put together about improving the 580 situation westbound in the morning commute. And one of the ideas is to prioritize public transit access and carpool access to the on-ramp. So I just wanted to share that and see if maybe people had any gut reaction to it. And then I'm really ecstatic to hear that you've been walking the neighborhood not street walking, but just walking. I have video of different places in California and across the country where you can see great amounts of money poured into pedestrian safety, vehicle circle, where the circle in the middle of the intersection, out in the middle of God love them nowhere. And I wonder why we can't have these safety solutions implemented in Richmond. So as I said, I have video.
We do actually have those coming up, and funny you should mention it. I always shudder to prematurely mention something, because then it becomes social media saying I promised it was happening tomorrow. But one of the things that Caesar brought up that we're working on, I'm just going to mention it because we don't even know if it's possible. We have to talk to traffic control, is actually starting by producing some temporary blockades right in front of the Roma Cafe at the corner of Girard and Cutting, and just putting a small temporary roundabout that would make people slow down there, and possibly another one next to the plunge. And this would be a prototype that would not be permanent, but would be very inexpensive and easy to put up quickly, that we could then see how it works. And if it works, then we could look at, it's not ever going to be a roundabout because we don't have room for an actual roundabout. It's just something to keep people slow in front of that most dangerous crosswalk, which we think is actually the one in front of Roma Cafe leading over to the park. And of course, that big intersection at the plunge where the children are. So if we can slow people before they hit that few blocks of downtown from either direction, either coming racing through the tunnel by the plunge or coming racing down Girard by towards the plunge. If we can tame that 2 blocks, I think we're gonna, it's a possible start. And I have to congratulate Caesar, because the idea that we could just try something temporary and quick and easy and affordable that we could probably fundraise for, and not have to wait another 10 years for the city until one more person loses their legs. I just think it was brilliant. So it just takes a while, and I ask you to be patient. I think Lisa and I, and certainly Margie and Charmaine, have been putting in close to 40 hours a week on Prnc. I think that's a fair statement. So I know that it seems like, and not all board members, don't worry, Eric, with a job and a child, but we're doing the best we can to balance everything and move things along as quickly as we can. So thanks, because just surprisingly, Norma, you kind of exactly hit on what Caesar was saying we can try. And then we can look at other corners in our community that could utilize something just immediate. Cordell?
Yes, I just remember the other thing, which I think this might be beneficial to the Point Richmond. So I was looking at the previous council agenda, and as I recall, there was supposed to be a public hearing regarding that certain project on Seacliff. I was told, because at first I thought it was supposed to be held in the spring, and then I find out from Lena, and she says that that it got pushed till like the end of September. I'm like, oh, so, and I said, wait a minute, September, and I said because that hearing it was supposed to be set for April, and now it's moved to the last Tuesday in September on the 26th. So I just thought I'd let everyone know. So that public hearing will be set on September the 26th at 6:30 in the chamber. So I'm like, so it's going to be PRN, the Point Richmond Council, and I think the developer is going to be in attendance. So I just thought I'd let y'all know ahead of time. So I should get more information by the time the council returns from their vacation.
Okay, I certainly hope they intend to invite us. Lisa's got that look on her face when she knows something that most people don't know. Do you have a comment, Lisa, or are you just gonna smirk?
I mean, it was delayed because of discussions behind the scenes between B Card, which is Brickyard Cove Alliance for Responsible Development, some concerned citizens who are not necessarily part of the B Card steering committee, and the PG&E site developers, Republic Urban. So there's a lot of stuff still going on in the background, and so there was a time extension, and then we said, well, a lot of us are gone in July and August, and the council's gone, so it's going to have to be September. So
I gather, Lisa,
got
that was
pushed
not
out.
a smirk, it was a smile, because you're happy that this is.
It gave us all a breather because a lot of us were exhausted dealing with that. So
How many pages were your report? It was 700 pages, wasn't it?
I don't remember. It was long.
It was a phone book that Lisa wrote. All right, so thanks, Cordell, for pointing that out, and we know that Lisa's right in the loop. She's with B Card on that. All right, we have some time if anyone has anything. Just up, Caesar. Speak on up, sir.
Thank you, Philip. Just want to also give an update at one other area, Tewksbury Avenue and Castro Street. I think this is what Norma might be mentioning as well. I showed this to Public Works, and I'm having them look into this. Public Works is now fully staffed, so that means they'll be able to work on more projects, hopefully over the summer. But I know as you're trying to make a right-hand turn from Tewksbury to Castro Street to get onto either the 580 or just get into Richmond Parkway, I know that sometimes it's a real mess, especially during heavy traffic hour. So they're looking for opportunities there to make that intersection crossway there easier to do and hopefully less of a backup. So just wanted to bring that up, that's on my radar, and also making a left turn from Tewksbury to Castro is also on the radar.
Caesar?
left.
Yeah.
If other people might have questions about that, if you could also kind of just give the group a really, really quick update on you guys have a budget that was passed and what kind of the timeline is for Public Works over the next couple months as the council takes a recess starting after next week for 2 months. Kind of what their timeline is to come back to the council on with the money that they have and how they're going to prioritize the multitude of projects, over 70 street safety projects in the city, and coming up with an equitable plan with the money that they have.
Lisa, great question. I think the staff was looking forward to this summer break to be able to help sort of take a pause and really plan. Now that we have Public Works fully staffed, now that we have other departments, they're not all fully staffed yet, but we have everyone sort of working together. We're hoping that when we come back, that they're going to be able to present a plan. At least that's what I hear from the Public Works Director, Daniel Chavarria. They'll have a plan on the paving, where everything's going to be paved and how, and the timeline on that. All the projects that you mentioned, Lisa, and anything else that's on the pipeline, they're hoping to be able to get back to us with a better timeline and dates of getting all these done. Right now, we don't have a specific date.
Great. One last question for you. The rumor is that you guys have hired somebody to go around and start assessing sidewalks throughout the city. Any update on that?
So many of you might know that I'm really big on sidewalks. I believe that provides access to everyone. So we did put in $4 million towards sidewalks and other repairs. So someone should be going around street by street, seeing what the needs are, what carve outs we need to do for ADA accessibility, and then where do we need to install sidewalks that currently do not have any. So again, all that should hopefully will be a plan towards when we come back. Hopefully all that will be able to be presented to City Council.
Caesar, I want to point out something you told me that I'd like to remind homeowners of. and also ask a question related to it. So first of all, remember homeowners that we are responsible for the sidewalks in front of our houses, even though they belong to the city. So be aware of that. If you complain about your sidewalk in front of your house, you may be complaining about something that you have to repair. So that's something that I know is an issue that's challenging. But what I would like to know, Caesar, is where people can report sidewalks. Is there a suggested place where we can report problems?
Yes, Philip, great question. So one of the places you can go, if you download the city app, you can go on there and report it. And also I ask that you please email me as well. And if you can email me the case number that gets generated so that I can track it. So that I know it's a little bit of double work, but that way I can make sure as we're working towards more accountability, that if you report something that it gets taken care of. So
And
on
there's
the app is the best way.
And on the app, the report an issue, it is 1, 2, 3, 4, the 5th issue down, called damaged sidewalks.
Perfect.
And Caesar, is that only for, is that only for publicly owned sidewalks and not the ones in front of your homes?
I will say anything, because it all depends what's going on, whether the city is able to fix it or not.
And
So even if it's in front of your home, if it's damage that the city has caused because of our trees or something else, it's potentially something the city might be able to repair. So I would say put anything in there.
And my understanding from what I'm hearing in other neighborhoods is they're out there assessing all sidewalks, the ones in front of homes.
Right. I wasn't
Yes.
meaning to imply that. I was just reminding people that first they need to take a look and see what they can do. Also, I had intended to do this today and I forgot. I'll get together with Lisa and for 30 seconds or 40 seconds in the next meeting, let's do a little PowerPoint on what the app looks like and how to utilize it. I think that would be really useful for those of you who are not so comfortable downloading things on your phone. Because if you report something verbally or by email, it goes into the same database as the app. So it's actually faster and more efficient to open the case on the app rather than handing it to some city official who then is just going to do the same thing. And the app is fantastic. It's geolocated. You put in a few words, you take a photo, boom. So maybe we can just show people how to use that next time. I meant to do it and I forgot. Graham, you've been patiently calming us for the last few minutes.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Phil. Everybody, and look, there's been a talk about the intersection there of 580 and Canal and Tewkesbury. There's another aspect there that I think is an accident waiting to happen. And that is people coming hurtling down on their bikes, down the bike path. And they turn around and they swing across that intersection there to cross over Tewkesbury, go into the village there. That is a pretty well a blind corner for anybody coming down Tewkesbury and also turning from the freeway to go right up to Tewkesbury. The vision is blocked in both directions. And I've come down there 3 times to see cyclists just go hurtling straight across the intersection without stopping. And on one particular case, a guy was coming down the hill in front of me and he almost hit the cyclist. He honked his horn and the cyclist just gave him the finger and rode off. That's an accident waiting to happen. And I was wondering if there's any way you could put sort of a 2-part barrier across that cyclist path, whereby they'd have to dismount, get off their bicycle, walk the bicycle across that intersection, and then get back onto it. Is that even feasible?
Graham, I can definitely ask our Public Works to see what they're able to do.
Because, you know, if you drive down Tewkesbury or you're coming off the freeway to turn right up onto Tewkesbury, it's a blind spot. You have to stop. Even despite that stop sign, you've got to roll forward to look up that bicycle path or around the corner and stop to look into the bicycle path to see if anybody's there. That's what I have to do when I go through that area there. You just can't see somebody coming quickly.
Graham, that was a brilliant observation because it's a real danger. The other thing that I think we should look at, and I'll report it to you, Caesar, is that there is a bus bench and a telephone pole and a trash can on Tewksbury at Washington. And there is not even room for a person to walk. There is certainly not room for a wheelchair or a mother with a carriage. So that forces people into the street exactly where Graham is talking about this dangerous thing. So I don't know what we can do. There's a private lot there. Maybe the bus bench should be moved, or maybe there's a way for the city to acquire a little corner to move the trash can and the bus bench. But it happens to correspond with your very observant, your very strong observation, Graham, that adds insult to injury for pedestrians. Thank you. Thank you. One good thing I will mention about that corner, thank you, Lisa, and one other board member who worked really hard, is that the foliage was cut down on the Caltrans land. That was to help to stop drugs and prostitution that were occurring actually in the bushes. There have been some unintended consequences. The activity is happening now, it's just happening somewhere else. But it does free, that corner has become visually free. And Mr. Zapata is working with us to talk about the possibility of us doing a little landscaping on that corner and also a little landscaping on the railroad tracks across from the up and under, right at the crosswalk, so that we have a little nicer welcome, just a very small landscaping presentation at the two entrances to Historic Point Richmond. So, and that landscaping would also serve with rock gardens and such for some safety, to keep cars from parking, to help with crime control as well. So that's another thing that please do not put on social media because we're not ready to discuss it yet, but we're working on it. And I think we have a historic town that's adorable, and I think everybody would be suited if people entered our business district and it didn't look ugly. Lisa?
Does anybody, I know we're running a little over, just a couple minutes. Does anybody else have any other open mics before I comment on some good news?
Go for it, Lisa.
So two things. So I kind of helped Public Works move along. We got the weeds mowed and attended to along Seacliff Drive, and Public Works is planning in July to address Canal Boulevard and Cutting Boulevard. So helping our gateways coming in from that area. And they did also clean up the gateway in front of the Wareham Business Development across from the Chevron lot, where there's a big rock that says Point Richmond, and the weeds were completely overgrowing it, and they've cleaned that up. So they're spread very, very thin right now, dealing with a lot of weeds throughout the city, but they've addressed part of it in the Bay Trail along Canal, and there's still work to be done in July. The other good news, I'm going to give credit to Councilmember Sohaila Bana and other people in her district over there in El Sobrante, and members of the community, in particular, one woman from her community, Whitney, who's a mother with a tiny little kid. And they have been consistently, with other council members' support, I believe as well, trying to get a deal with West Contra Costa Unified School District for people to have access to the outdoor play areas on our public schools, because it's public tax dollars. So we're trying to figure this out. They weren't really getting anywhere with West Contra Costa School District. And then one of the trustees, Trustee Leslie Reckler, discovered there is a tax that we pay into, the Maintenance and Recreation Assessment Tax. It's called MRAD. And because of that tax, the attorney then contacted the school district, and the school district had to acquiesce and say, yes, you do have the right to access our public schoolyards. So the great news is that Monday through Friday, because that's currently the only time they can staff it. You will have access after school hours to playgrounds, including Washington Elementary School, if you have little kids. This is great news. And I reached directly out to the facilities director of West County School District, and he got back to me today. And he did say that as a rule of thumb, school grounds should be open at the end of the school day, roughly around 3:30 p.m. to dusk. So depending on the time of year, it's just going to be to dusk. The exceptions could sometimes move that to late in the afternoon if they have an after school care program, or say high school sporting events, and you want to use the field, for example. During the summer months, schools without summer programs, they should be open during the day when staff is on site to open the facilities. During holiday breaks, the campuses would be closed. And they're looking into potential partnerships with, say, neighborhood councils and the liability and legality around that to support access on weekends and holidays. So it's still a work in progress for weekends and holidays, but certainly Monday to Friday from 3:30 p.m. is a general rule to dusk. You and your
Okay.
kid, whoever can use it.
Okay, so Lisa, that's something else we can sum up in a mid-month email, because that's a lot. But I'd like to hit what that means to us, because this is our big thing we've been trying for years. Peter's been trying for years. What we hope is we will be able to fence in the basketball court that's adjacent to Judge Carroll Park on school grounds, so that they can lock the basketball court from their side, and our kids will have access to a basketball court at nights and on the weekends. It is still a work in progress. We've floated it. It sounds fine. We can finance it on our end. So that's the biggest, because most of us don't really need those school grounds, although there's a lot of pavement. We have playgrounds all around the school. There are 2 of them around the school. So, but it's it's that basketball court, and the possibility of maybe that's so juicy. I can't even, I'm so excited. So we'll let you know. Cordell, I'm running late, so maybe 1
Yes,
minute.
and I keep it short. So also related to that, so I was watching the council meeting last night, and Vice Mayor Gale had an item to, to direct staff to contact the school district to have a joint meeting. So they say around the fall time would be the ideal. So as soon as I get more information, I will let you all know about when the meeting will be held and the location. So
Thanks.
that's me.
And I promise we'll get on this to put in a little bid with the city, or try to figure out what we might need to do to make this little dream come true. We're running late, so I'd like to go over to Maskers if Fran or anyone would like to speak. Do we have anyone from Maskers?
I'll speak for her.
Okay.
So Fran's not here because she's at a gala for Nat Bates at the Boys Club. So she told me to tell everyone to come see Row. It is a wonderful show, and if you have not seen it, you're in for a real treat. So it's only $30, but if you get the youth rate, it's $27. So
Okay, for all of the kids here at our meeting.
I guess I'm
Cordell,
next
you
again.
just, right, and then you just covered neighborhood council, right?
No, RNCC. Nope, I haven't covered
Okay,
that.
let's go to it.
So here it is. So at this month's meeting, we had about 18 participants on Zoom. So that's very helpful. So city staff gave their report, so I won't go into that. So and then our speaker for that meeting, we had Miss Garcia. She came and talked to us about the programs that they offer at Contra Costa College, and I think that was a good idea. Like, because like for people like that are trying to like having having a plan have an activity once they retire. So I think it's very beneficial. So there was no old business, and then the new business, which I said during open mic, like and having Dr. Hurst to come and speak to us at a future meeting to tell us what plans that the district is working on, regarding the public safety, because that's another component. And then I had mentioned to them about the idea of by having our Christmas party this year, since we've been in a Zoom platform for quite some time. And so that being said, our next meeting is going to be July 10th at 7 p.m. via Zoom. And I have no clue who's going to be our speaker for that one. So that being said, anybody have questions?
Thank you, Cordell. As usual, and your magic memory. Gary, what's going on with the Hurlbut Foundation in tennis?
Well, it's been busy. As some of you may be aware, one of the things that's being very popular across the country is pickleball. It's another activity similar to tennis, but not quite the same, but some more of that's coming into Richmond. What we are planning to do is actually take the upper court at the Courts by the Plunge and actually use some tape at first that John and I are going to work on over the next couple of days and set it up for pickleball for people who want to try pickleball and get some reaction back from people and see if we want to actually make that a permanent installation. It would be just a joint use for both pickleball and tennis. So you'll see some out there if you're involved or interested in that. We just finished a spring USTA teams. We had 8 teams actually in Richmond represented, and we actually had 4 teams that made the playoffs, and they're actually playing over the next week and a half. So we're really excited about how well that's going. That's on the adult side. On the youth side, when you go down Cutting and you go over the hump and come over by the junction of Harbor Bay, on the left-hand side is a fire station, but also in back of that is MLK Park. And we've just finished resurfacing that, and we finished the fencing last year. In the month of July, we're going to have use out there for it's called a Nystrom Catchment, or it's the organization, but it's going to be every day for the full month of July. We'll probably have about 15 kids out there, and they actually alternate between doing soccer, and they do tennis, and they do golf, and some track stuff. So we're doing a lot of use there for the summertime. This is in collaboration, rec department's really running it, and we're supplying volunteers for that. So that's keeping us busy. On the benevolent fund, we are working to supply some funding for the cleanup in Prnc. We've got a group that actually works with us in keeping the plunge foliage under control. Everything, all the weeds really came up after all that rainfall. But so we're going to help out with Prnc, and Phil already talked about the fencing in basketball on Washington. So we've committed to do some funding to make that happen. So I think that's going to be exciting. So yeah, got a bunch of things going on, keeping us busy.
Thank you so much, Gary, and for all you and Maren do for our community. Did you have a question,
I've
Peter?
got a question, yes. So came up a couple of people I was talking to, including Sean Dunning. He plays bocce ball over at the Galileo Club, and with Tony Karachi from Baltic Kiss and a few other people. And I mentioned that there was a bocce ball next to the plunge at Hurlburton, and turned out a bunch of people who were listening didn't know about that, and they asked me a question that I did not know. Where are the bocce balls if you want to play?
Okay, if you have your own, obviously that's fine, but the actual shed that's back there actually has a bunch of equipment in it for maintaining stuff, and it also has 2 sets of bocce balls. One's heavier and one's lighter. So and anybody who wants to get in and use bocce balls, they just have to check. It's a combination lock. By the way, though, about 3 weeks ago, somebody came along with cutters and broke the lock off. And when I went in and looked, I looked around and didn't see anything missing at first. And then I realized, oh no, I see I have a leaf blower in there with a charger. That's the only thing they took. That's been repaired. There's actually a combination lock that's on there. It's a little tougher to break into. But if anybody wants bocce balls, and my phone number is on the agenda, just call me, and we give access, obviously, priority access to Point Richmond residents. And the interesting thing was, by the way, because it doesn't get a lot of use because it's out of the way, people don't know it's there. But the Richmond swims team that actually swims at the natatorium was out there, and I was out there cleaning up some weeds, and all of a sudden, there's a whole bunch of kids out there with an older guy. And I said, "Hey, who are you guys?" He said, "Well, we're the Richmond swim team." And I said, "I just bring our kids out here when they get a break, and we do some bocce ball because I do bocce." So that does get some use. It doesn't get a lot of use. There was some conversation back when we first did that, with not with Sean, but with the bocce, down the street about getting some kind of league. That's never really gone anywhere, but who knows? Maybe it will sometime if enough interest. Anyway, bottom line is, if anybody's interested, there is equipment. It's in the shed. Have them just give you a call, and I'll tell them how they can get in there.
Well, if a few people want to get together, we could probably challenge the Galileo Club.
Yeah. Yeah.
So is that shed open during the day, or is it?
No, it's locked all the time. You just got to,
Oh.
you got to call me. I mean, it's not, because all that's, that's all got equipment in there, shovels and tennis balls and a whole bunch of stuff. So it's
Okay.
But it's accessible. But just have them give me a call.
Right. Peter, reputable and known community members can have access to that. I
Right.
had it.
Wait, I thought you said reputable.
I'm reputable and or known.
Oh, okay.
I'm known.
Distinction.
Trust me, I leave more stuff in there than I've taken out over the years. I've got all the children's books in there. I think it's time for Graham, and I want to give you a heads up, Graham. The PRNC has sent to about 1,700 neighbors in our next newsletter, the next 2 pancake breakfast dates to promote the Red Oak victory.
And Phil, I apologize. I got to run because I'm working on the coordination with those playoff teams and stuff. I got my stuff's overdue. So thanks for glad I could be on the call. Catch you later.
Okay, Phil, thanks. Yeah, well, first of all, thanks for sending that information out. So I'll make this fairly brief. We continue to be open on Sundays, 10 until 4 o'clock. We're not having a special event on July the 4th this year, but we are open for just general visitors. So if you've got a little bit at loose ends on July the 4th, come down to the ship, and then you can go over to Rigger's Loft and have a nice, refreshing beverage. We do have 2 special events coming up. In July, we're participating in the Walking Ghosts of Black History series. This is the 2nd year that we've done this. And for all of July, we have a display about the Port Chicago disaster, which should be well worth going to see. That was, of course, a major event. And we are participating in this Walking Ghosts program, and we have this exhibit there. Also, in July, we're returning to the movies, and on July the 20th, we're showing our old favorite Casablanca, starting at 7 p.m. So please come down and join us on that. It's a movie we show every year. We usually have a little pop quiz about who all the actors are in it. And some people, which normally seems to have been me, wins all the chocolate. So it'd be nice to have if somebody else down there could answer a few questions. So please join us for the Port Chicago exhibit and for Casablanca. Thanks.
Thank you,
What's
Peter.
the date for the Casablanca?
Pardon?
What's the date, Graham, for the Casablanca?
July the 20th.
Thank you.
I did try to get it on Bastille Day, but nobody would cooperate.
Peter?
Yes, before I moved to California, I was a bit of a war history nut in my youth. And I was quite aware of the Port Chicago disaster. And when I moved here, I was fascinated by the fact that I was so close to it. And I actually took a drive up there one time. So I think that'd be a fascinating, it's quite a black eye to our military history and race history and all that, but it's a fascinating piece of history, and it's so local.
Yeah. Thanks, Peter.
And I'll be there for movie
Graham.
night on the 20th.
Cordell, I'll pencil you in to win some of the chocolate bars.
Good, send me some of that chocolate for me.
Okie dokie. Thanks so much, Graham and commenters. Women's West Side is on vacation. As I mentioned, they're picking up again on September 11th. So we're going to pass over that right now. Anything to report on table tennis, Peter?
We're still plugging along. Not many people show up, but but if anybody wants to play, doesn't cost anything. Come on over. I usually buy first time players a drink or beer or whatever you want at the bar. And any skill level is welcome. It's at the Point San Pablo Yacht Club on Cutting. Just roll up to the gate Mondays at 5:30, 6, whenever you get there. Press the black button next to the keypad. It will let you in. Play as long as you want. Don't play at all if you want. Just come on in and see the yacht club. That's it.
Thank you, Peter.
Peter,
Jim.
I'm gonna try to.
Jim?
Cordell, please come by. Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, because that might be my other location for RNCC.
Okie dokie. Jim? You with us?
I'll be quick. Nothing specific at Rosie the Riveter, but I will mention that we have some interesting docents who've come on board, former college instructors, published authors. So I think we can expect more interesting talks, lectures, presentations in the theater in the coming months. And I would urge anyone who may even be remotely interested, if you're interested in World War II at all, and in local history, of becoming a docent. It's not terribly time consuming. And it's very rewarding. Plus, you get a great view of the bay when you're down there the entire time. So things are starting to get interesting at Rosie the Riveter.
James, do you get a snazzy uniform or you wear street clothes?
I have half of a snappy uniform from the waist up.
Okay, because that's worth the price of volunteering. Thanks so much for that update,
Right.
Jim. Okay, now we've got an LUDRC update from the very long meeting about Keller Beach. Charmaine.
Okay, we had our first LUDRC meeting in a while. And the issue is, I'm going to try to be really brief, and please forgive me to the community. I know that this is a much bigger deal than I'm going to make it. I'm just going to make it brief. Basically, the city of Richmond said that the Keller Beach sewer line is deteriorating, but we don't know for sure what's wrong, what needs to be done, etc. The city of Richmond has recommended that anyway, they hired a company. I don't know how to say this all sorts. It's so much. Okay. The city recommended that this sewer pipe actually be moved to a different place. It was somehow found out that it couldn't be repaired or replaced in the same place it was, and it was going to have to move uphill. Well, this is a huge, huge project, very major expense, very major inconvenience to everybody on Western Drive and that whole area. So now this community who lives there have a lot of questions, and a company was hired to review and assess the situation and write a report. The community has asked the city many, many times to get answers to all of their questions. They're not getting answers. They're not getting a report from the company that was hired. The company that was hired decided to delay because of weather, and we're not really sure what that means. So this is like a project with a lot of question marks, and it needs we need to do a number of things. So what we're going to do, there's so many concerns. One of the main concerns is that we think that the city is not looking at all the viable alternatives, that there are other things that could be looked at to prevent a major expense and a major inconvenience. So I do want to say that Caesar, are you still there? Yeah, there you are. He has been very supportive. He's very involved and he's listening. He's also taking notes. This is a good thing. Now, the LUDRC is going to create a document with all of the main concerns of this project and contact the city. And we're going to work with Caesar in order to do the right process that will bring this to the attention of not just Public Works Department, but anybody else in the city that needs to know about what's going on here. It's not well organized. It's not well planned. They're not listening to the community. They're not answering questions. So that causes nothing but upset and you know, everybody's kind of stressed out about it. They don't know if it's getting worse and worse and worse by the day. They haven't had any input. They don't have enough like real facts. They need some real facts. So I'm going to work with Rod and try to come up with a document. And we're also going to some of the key players in the community who have already done some research, that already have some expertise, and try to put everything in writing. If we can do a proper document, everything in writing, then we can give Caesar information that he needs to go to the city and try to get, we need a way forward. We don't really have a clear way forward. We're going to be asking for other, maybe other peer review, excuse me, another company to look into it, things like that. So we're off and running, and by next time we'll have a report back to see where are we. And I think that we will make some progress in the next few weeks.
Sorry, so I'm going to clarify what the PRNC is going to do moving forward. Thank you, Charmaine, because it's an impossible topic and you did a good Reader's Digest version. This is important to the PRNC. It is not possible to discuss the complexities of this project during our meetings. So we will continue to broadcast when the larger and longer meetings are, the LUDRC meetings. I think it was an hour and a half today, right, Graham? So that those who are interested can join. And I do want to point out that in addition to the people directly affected, this is a public works project involving sewage and tearing up stuff. So everybody in Point Richmond is involved. We simply don't have enough time to discuss this project in these meetings. So we will continue to provide special meetings. And then when we come to fruition, there'll be a special meeting. And then any vote that needs to be taken can be taken very quickly by the general public. Thanks for the synopsis. It's way too complicated to discuss here because we could be here for hours. Thank you so much, Charmaine. Let's move on to CERT. It's you again. Or still, Charmaine, any news?
Okay, yeah, okay, so the one thing I want to mention is that there will be a car evacuation by car in Brickyard Cove, and that's well underway. The fire department is managing this, and CERT will be a part of it. I'm not exactly sure the role yet. We're still learning our role. That'll be July 15th. The other thing to let you know is we have more training coming up pretty soon for Richmond CERT. And we're just getting our kind of organization together to decide what are the best dates for more CERT training and also radio training and ham radio training. And I'll let you know as soon as we know more about the dates for the fall. And that's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Charmaine. And I'll remind you earlier that we suspect that the next meeting will be a recap of that and lessons learned. But we'll see. PRBA, Karen was here, but I don't see her now.
I can report for there's for her. So set your calendars for July 27th. There's going to be a salsa mixer hosted by the Richmond Chamber of Commerce. It's going to be at Allegro Ballroom from 5 to 7, and it's $15 if you're not a member of the chamber, and you get to enjoy some good food and to learn how to salsa.
Okay, the Allegra Ballroom is behind the grocery outlet on the corner of San Pablo and McDonald. Thank
Correct.
you. Thanks so much. Is Bonnie Jo here? Nope. No, anybody from History Association? Also usually Karen, so she's out. Arts Point Richmond, Mary Lee, did you show up? No, okay. And Margie is out.
Here.
What? Oh, you're there. There you are. I'm sorry, I didn't see you.
An art project, but I've been listening patiently. Here we go. So Post Office has a quite stunning wildlife photography, up close and personal from one of our photographers, Kate Olival. So check it out. It will be here until July 7th. Mom and Pop, the La Familia, which is a really fun exhibit of all kinds of families, from bird families to people families. Check that out. It closes June 30th, so that's coming right up. The El Sol watercolors by Jean Brady and Leonore Storms. People can go and have dinner and enjoy that until July 16th. So a lot of these shows will be coming down soon, basically, is what I'm saying. And we now have 58 banners from artists all over town, and including the kids extension of taking the kids out art outdoors. There are 35 banners by students that are mounted all along the fence at the dog park. So the town is really decked with a lot of fun art. Really, we've some are photographers, some are oil painters, turn these pieces into wonderful banners. Some are watercolor artists. It's just all kinds of fun stuff. We hope you enjoy it. That's
We
it.
sure do, Mary Lee. Thank you. And we hope to see you at National Night Out on Tuesday, the 1st. Some of your artists, at least. And remember, everyone who's on here, if you have a business or you're part of an organization or a church, come on out. That's again, and we'll advertise it, of course, August 1st, which is a Tuesday from 5:30 to 8:30. We are glad to see Kate. We haven't seen her face in a while.
Been in and around town. Husband got COVID, the cat got sick. I've been just working like a nurse caregiver here until I got some help. So we're all coming along fine. Anyway, here advertising for Magic Lantern. Our last film is July 8th at the Methodist Church at 7:30. We're showing some fun short films and a few of the best selected Oscar shorts from this year. And free popcorn. We're celebrating our last, and we take a summer break. This was a makeup film that we couldn't show in March because of rains. So we're happy to finish with a bang and lots of fun, and free popcorn couldn't be better. So invite all to attend July
Thanks, Kate.
8th.
Kate, get me a flyer. I don't have a color printer, but if you can get me a flyer, we can get it up in the public kiosk. I
Okay,
have keys to that.
thank you
I
for
have
that,
keys to
thank
that.
you.
All of the organizations, if a community organization, I have keys to that kiosk behind the library because I bought the lot. The power of being president.
And I will say that Kate now has cushions on the seats, which makes it a lot more comfortable. Sue and I were there for the pizza movie, and
Oh, wasn't that awesome? The pizza movie? Oh my gosh.
that was a different kind of movie, all right. And,
was
and
different.
I'm really looking forward to the shorts. I love those things. So
Yeah, they're fun.
Right.
They're a lot of fun.
all right.
Fantastic. Yeah, that sounds great. And I haven't been in a while, so it may be time. I'm going to speak for Pram. Just to let you know, is there anyone who would like to officially speak for Pram? Okay, they're in a fundraising stage. They're working with the Herbal Foundation, Gary and Marin, who helped them with gardening help. So as the summer progresses towards the end of the summer, they need to do some major fundraising. They need a lot of money for infrastructure. So just keep your eyes open. And we have invited them to kind of come along with us to some upcoming events. And, you know, as they develop their fundraising plan, we'll be promoting it because they're a pretty important part of our community. HOAs, usually Lisa.
So we kind of alluded to the fact that RPD was up to something at the beginning of the call, so I can now give you an update because it's been publicly released. So they spent several hours today removing numerous firearms from the residence where the person was fatally wounded, including what appeared to be privately manufactured AR-15 style rifles. Around 7:30 p.m., which was just when our meeting was starting, an officer also discovered possible live explosives, which were hand grenades. I was told that by RPD. The bomb squad was summoned to the scene and all of the surrounding homes were evacuated. So that was going on while we've been on the Zoom call. So HOA Brickyard Cove is very exciting day today, unfortunately. So anyway, and this is all linked again to something that transpired Sunday night and Monday, which led to this search warrant. So thankfully, hopefully this risk has been removed from our community.
Thank you, Lisa. And for those of you who wonder why we don't get police reporting or we can't always get small stuff, please do remember there's big stuff happening all the time. And
yeah, and thankfully
let's be grateful for our guys and gals.
I just want to say thankfully none of our officers were killed during this incident today on top of it. So
it's pretty scary. It'll be some national news probably tomorrow. Thank you. Does anybody have any celebrations or remembrances they'd like to share? Sally.
Could I make a quick announcement?
Please do. Did I miss you?
I didn't sign up for one ahead of time.
Point Malate, I'm sure.
Of course.
Please do.
So actually, the current exhibit at Margie Sullivan's wonderful gallery is a photographic exhibit of photographs by 3 talented local photographers, all of which were taken at Point Malate, with one exception, and that is acrobatic white-tailed kites at Dotson Marsh. And so it's a really beautiful event. The idea is for it to build community around the idea of Point Malate becoming a park. And the title of the exhibit is Point Malate Park Now. It will be open every Saturday and Sunday from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. until August 6th, which will be the closing. So
Thank
please
you.
come by and look at it.
I ran into Sally at the opening. It was A, spectacular, B, the art is for sale. So buy it and enjoy it. And they are having a drawing to win a very large poster that shows a whole beautifully framed, that shows a whole montage of different photographs. So for a very inexpensive ticket, you have a chance to win something very special. Caesar, hand is up.
Thank you. I'm going to be having coffee events again throughout the month of July and August. The council is on break mid-July and all of August, but please be at the lookout for coffee events If you want to come and chat with me during those times, you can chat with me at any time, but especially at those times, if you're out and about early morning and want to have some coffee with me, please let me know. I'll be in different locations having coffee with the community.
And
also,
Caesar, we're happy, of course, to sponsor and promote that event.
thank you, Philip. Thank you. And then another thing that I will be doing is I'm going to be doing a book reading during the month of July on Saturdays. The locations I'm still confirming, but the time's going to be Saturdays at 5. And it's not just any book reading, but it's going to be banned book readings. So the books that are on the Texas and Florida banned book list, I'm going to be reading some of those along with the community. So if you want to come out and be part of this, I will welcome you. I'll put this out and about as soon as I finalize the details of it.
That's very cool, Caesar. Thank you. Any more remembrances or celebrations that anyone would like to mention? Okay, no news is good news with remembrances. Ladies and gentlemen, we're almost on time. We're 3 minutes off, so I'm proud of us. Folks, do you like this format as opposed to having a visitor? Let me know. Let me know. Send me an email through the PRNC website, and maybe we'll do some more of these sort of open forums where we just talk as if we were sitting at a coffee shop. And
Did you see Caesar's hand?
Yeah, throw your hand up if you like. All right, so maybe we'll schedule one in every few months, and let a little less lecturing and a little more talking to one another. It really helps us to steer the PRNC in the direction you want us to go. I would like to just make one little comment that in a very stressful time in our world right now, I find myself absolutely thrilled to walk down the street and realize that folks like you are my neighbors. I really feel like I live in a small town in the middle of a large and hectic city, and it's all about you. So I will wish you all a good evening, and I will ask board members, including Eric, to stay on for 5 minutes as we discuss just a few little bit of housekeeping details. Thank you all so very much.
Good night, everybody.
Okie dokie.
We were only
Who's
4
on?
minutes late. That was pretty good.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Oh, okay.
I'm actually here, but my poor little iPad has been on for 3.5 hours straight.
Well, just so you know, we can see you, Charmaine. So if you
I know.
think you're alone, tell your boyfriend to put on some shorts.
No, he's not here. But
Okay.
so, yeah, so anyway, I had to plug in and I don't have any place to put it while I'm plugged in right now. So that's why it's going like this.
Well, it's
Okay.
really quite flattering because I need to start doing that because we're looking at you like with great lighting. So welcome, Eric. I just wanted to confirm, luckily, Eric is a working guy, but he does have flexibility during the week via Zoom. But for this next upcoming meeting, which is scheduled for the 6th at 1 o'clock, Eric is available either by Zoom or in my house or Margie's gallery. We haven't decided where to hold this meeting. Do we think it's easiest with Eric new to just hold it on Zoom? Anybody? Eric, you're new. Do you have a preference?
Yeah, I mean, my preference, I would actually like to, I think I've met everybody except Charmaine. I mean, I'm nice to meet you, but haven't met you in person yet. I'm good either way. So I'm happy to come in and meet y'all in person or whatever. I'm flexible. So
Somebody help me. I don't want to call this one. Does anyone
anybody else have a
preference?
preference or?
Well, I think we should everybody should get together so they can see the remarkable resemblance between Eric and Buzz.
Okay. So I will check with Margie. If the gallery is available, it's more convenient. If not, I will quickly clean my downstairs, run a mop over the floors, and we can just have it at my house. We will not have the big buffet we had last time, but I can provide some beverages and cookies. So I'll touch base with Margie on that. The other thing that we need is good news is we got the newsletter to the city today, the Your Neighborhood News. And I have asked for and expect that they will have it out in time to promote the National Night Out. I have also asked for color. We'll see. I'm asking for a lot from that department right now because they're working on the playground project with us. So that's a quick update. The other update is we did receive $1,000 grant for the playground, which we never expected. And we had budgeted for the playground. So the good news is that we're $1,000 ahead with the tunnel project, you know, to help us finance the tunnel project thing. That's happening.
Buzz has his hand raised.
Yeah, Buzz.
You're muted. You're muted.
Yeah. So the board meeting, can we go back to that for a second?
Yeah.
Did we set a time?
Yes, it's at 1 o'clock on what
Yeah.
day was
I've got July the 6th, but I just
The
have it as
6th.
okay, 1 o'clock.
That's what I have. Can everybody make
Yeah.
that time, Eric?
I can, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank
So
you.
it'll be at my house or at the gallery, at Margie's gallery. So that's moving forward and everyone's been just allowing me to plunge forward with the playground project. We're going to do with that what we did with the tunnel. We're just saying later in the summer, there will be a cleanup day and a little very basic party for the kids. Yeah, Lisa.
When you're done with that.
Okay, so I just want to let you know, we're still working on it and it's almost done. The Parks Department is doing all of it. So at the end, our big work day with all this painting and construction and cleaning we were supposed to do, it will have already been done. And our work day will involve an hour of weeding, pretending to paint for the photos, pretending to clean for the photos, so that the city thinks that we had this. And so it's basically a photo op and a little kids party for an hour. And the way I weed, it's likely that most of the weeding will be done by that time. So I'll keep a few weeds aside and you can fake pull them. So that's good news. That project will be another thing under our belt. I just got an email during this meeting from Winifred, who wants to desperately speak to me on the phone tomorrow. As some of you know, she has not been an asset. She is really difficult. I told her that I was going to be assisting Charmaine and Margie. This is a little white lie. I'll be there in spirit, assisting Margie and Charmaine in getting our invoice in because it pretty much has to be in tomorrow, right? Charmaine?
Everything is almost done. I worked on it almost all day today, sitting at
Okay.
my computer. So I just have
Thank
to
you,
do it.
Charmaine.
Yeah, it was a lot of, like my eyes are really tired. I just have to do a little bit more detail and then and then it's done. But you
Thank
just
you.
said something that made me think that maybe I did something wrong. What I'm doing is I'm sending in all of our invoices from all of our expenses. And you said invoice to the city. Is that like?
Correct. There is a form. It's very easy to fill out. There is a specific form, and I will send it to you immediately after this meeting. We make an invoice and we invoice the city for the $8,000.
Oh, that's easy.
Right. So I
Yeah,
will
just send
forward
it to
you
me
that
because
form.
what I'm doing is I have a very extensive, very detailed report. And that's what I'm sending in. It's many, many, many pages because copies of all the invoices. But that's okay. I'd much rather have that than just one invoice that says 8,000.
Correct. Well,
I
we
want
are
a
right.
summary of everything.
Charmaine, I wanted to point out that's just a cover sheet for the work you're doing. But we have to put that cover sheet on. Do you have that one-page cover sheet, the invoice sheet?
I didn't look for it. It's probably
I will
somewhere.
send it to you so it's up fresh. You can fill it out in 2 minutes.
Okay, that'd be
And then
great.
you'll attach the other work that you did to prove the expenses. How did we kind of come out in the end on that?
Yeah, I can't tell you yet because I'm
Okay.
still doing it. I'm almost done, but I didn't do any totals.
Okay,
So,
but we've got money rolling in
Well, but that was my hand, that was my hand raised. So
Right.
is the timeline still for tomorrow? Because I want to get back to Chevron on the request amount.
yeah, I'm almost done. It's like half an hour more work. I already worked like about 5 hours today. And it's about a half an hour more, but I'm probably not going to do it tonight. So probably tomorrow. And then I changed a few sentences that Winifred wanted me to change. And I want to review that part with Margie. She may have a different thing she wants to say. And then Phil, could you, let me think where I put this. Could you be the one to write a letter to, it could be email, right? To Mark Tagliatelle to thank him? Because
yes,
Winifred
we
wanted
have,
us to
we
do that.
already have.
Oh, did I get a
So-
copy?
We've been doing this nonstop for weeks. So since the incident with the flagmen. So one of the things that I've talked to Caesar about, and he's been talking to the city manager about, is she does not direct us to thank anyone.
I
Okay?
know, but if we just jump through the last hoops, we might
So
actually
what,
get
so
some
what,
money.
I will send a formal letter and actually Winifred should not be copied on it, but if it makes you happy, we will. I will send a formal PRNC letter to the city manager, thanking those departments directly. I know how to do this. And we also have a special gift, which I have paid for with my own money because it was faster and easier. We will have a special gift for Mark to commemorate his participation in this. And I will be asking the board if we can sponsor some type of donuts and coffee thing for the Parks Department at their offices. You know, buy a few dozen donuts because they're helping us right and left with everything. So, and I am also willing to finance that if the board is not. So we will thank people appropriately without Winifred, the Miss Manners, the Amy Vanderbilt of courtesy and grace, telling us how to handle that. What do y'all think? Should I take her call in the morning?
Well, you know, if you want to wait until I finish the report, Margie and I are communicating, even though she's not on a plane and not here. We're still just like in constant contact.
Okay.
As she's at a friend's house right now until, you know, another flight can be taken. And if she doesn't take a flight, then what we'll do is we'll do it on the phone. So I'm
Okay.
prepared. I told her after 8 a.m. that I'm
So
prepared
that's-
to do it with her on the phone.
That's why during the meeting, I just responded to Winifred. For those of you who don't know, she is not helpful.
So what do you think it is she wants exactly? Why does she want to talk to you?
What Winifred wants and has asked me to do is send a letter to the city apologizing for us not having our documentation in on time.
So I don't think.
No. That's not what she wants. She wants you to thank Parks and Recs
Mhm.
for doing the traffic. That's all.
That's not all. You didn't get that email.
So I would.
Documentation did we not have in on time?
Don't even, Lisa.
So I would
Don't
avoid
even.
this. I would avoid this phone call because you are not a paid public official. You're a volunteer.
Yeah, no, she's
So-
freaking nuts.
Yeah, don't do this.
Okay, so what I did is tell her, give me a call in the afternoon because I would be busy supporting you two. I'm going to be shopping with my husband and at the mall outlets, and I will not be taking her call. Caesar is involved, but doesn't need to be. What we need, the only thing we need, and the reason why we're reaching out to Caesar and to the city manager, which we are doing outside of Winifred, and which I've stated to Caesar, is we have a fear that she's going to slow walk this check.
Well, she already has.
Yeah, we'll just get Caesar to deal with this.
Right.
This
I
is-
did have a conversation with the person who's in charge of processing this. This is Jesse. And Jesse said, I assure you, Philip, the second this invoice comes in, I am asking this check to be prioritized. They are all know that, because what I sense is that Winifred is already starting to try to blame her staff for the fact that Winifred lost some documents 3 or 4 times.
Okay,
So
let's not spend any more time on her.
yeah, no more oxygen. I'll do the right thing with the letters. It'll go the right place. The emails have already been sent over and over and over again.
And
Just-
Charmaine, after you get the totals, can you just please send me an email in the group that says of the 5,500 that we were originally committed to when we submitted the grant, and 2,500 of that was supposed to come from the Gateway Foundation. Of that 3,000, did we spend it all? Did we go over? What is that amount? And then Philip sent out an email with a rough estimate of $3,800. So I'm trying to understand how much of the 6,500 I want to ask for from Chevron. And I'm trying to get the $1,000 from BL. She approved it. I have to submit a formal form. I'm just kind of waiting tomorrow to do this. And then I will get money from Sims as well. I would like to recognize all 3, and I can happy to ask Chevron for all 6,500 and put it towards another project if we need it. And so that's where this
Okay.
total comes in important.
Lisa, the rest of the board doesn't know what you're talking about. And Eric is new.
Oh, Eric, yeah.
So we are producing the goal is we're going to produce a national park style sign, like the one that's at the flagpole in front of the plunge. And it will be a brief history of the tunnel, a brief history of the PRNC and the projects, with a QR code that people can scan to join the PRNC. It will contain some artwork and some old photos of the tunnel and new tunnels of the photos of the tunnel. And I'm compiling all this, so nobody has to do it. I'll let you know if I need help. It's pretty easy. And that will take the place of the giant, of all the fading writing that's on the tunnel that no longer can be read and is in a bad location. It will also be easier to update when graffiti happens or next time around. And so what we are offering, what we hope to offer, and we need to have a board meeting, or maybe we don't, maybe we're having it right now, is that big sponsors can have their logo. So we'll list all the different people through times, and then there will be like a Chevron, Sims. We will definitely have a City of Richmond logo.
Makes sense.
Just for our own satisfaction, it will be tiny bit smaller than Chevron's, we'll know. And I did send an email out about this. We're looking at the possibility of adding names by asking people if they want to participate. So, for example, if we can have a number that can, if we decide on X hundreds of dollars, for example, my husband and I would be interested in making a donation to the PRNC so we could have our names on that sign. The good news is I have local super park architects, Marcia Valier and her international firm that does all the parks. They did Letitia Edwards, they did Rosie the Riveter, who has donated their graphic art services for free. And they have a team of people. So although we love Sue, we very much love Sue, I think it would be great to take advantage of that staff of graphic artists who are willing to do the project for free. And we can vote on whether or not we accept that free artwork or not.
And including the logos. So just FYI, when you have a corporate logo, you always have to fill out a form and get the approval from the corporation. So I've let the 3 potential sponsors all know that we would fill out the form requesting formal.
Right, and we need to agree on this, but I think it's
put it on there.
we're talking about small, so I don't think there's any objection to those logos.
No, we just have
So-
to ask for formal approval to use them.
Right, and Eric, I will send you a copy of that email just so that you
Okay.
kind of know, because this is something that's ongoing. But so here are the two important, because this is turning into a board meeting and I didn't intend it to. Here are the two time-sensitive things to discuss. One of which is I do not see us doing this dedication on July 9th. If we're moving towards, and we do have, Eric, we do have to have a little party at the tennis courts. It's required by our grant. So
Okay.
what we're gonna do is have like a little dedication coffee and donuts thing,
Nice.
photo op, very mellow. To
How much
read,
money do you want me to put in the budget for that?
guys, $200 for coffee and donuts.
Okay,
Does
Yeah.
that sound right?
yeah, that's fine.
Sure.
Okay.
It's
And it
enough.
may not be, it may just be something from Costco, some things in packages or whatever. We
Yeah.
have to do it and we should do it. But I'm wondering, depending on with the signage is local. I can physically pick up the signage once it's produced. And the Parks Department will be installing it free. They've committed to that. As a matter of fact, they require it. So it's quite possible that in 2 months, we could have it, and just at the very end of summer, beginning of fall, we could unveil the sign and the project simultaneously. Does that sound good to folks?
No,
Too late?
we're not working in August. August is our month off.
Okay, September.
Okay,
Any work on this signage will be mine. Okay, so it's already done, pretty much. It's okay, so we're just vague. Okay, so that gets put off. The other thing is we have to plan our upcoming national night out. It is
Not
the same.
tonight.
Not
It's
tonight.
the same as last night. So do we want to have a special meeting, a separate national night out meeting, or do we want to really do a fast meeting and just incorporate it into the board of directors meeting on the 6th?
I vote for the 6th.
Yeah, so we'll go super fast on the 6th. And then we'll segue into it. I already know what I'm gonna ask, and I can send it out in an email, which basically, Peter, if you can do what you did last year, reaching out to the businesses,
Oh, yeah.
perhaps,
yeah, we're
okay,
gonna talk about this on the 6th. I gotta
Okay.
go. I've been on this work stuff.
thanks, Charmaine.
I've
Just
been even
FYI.
many hours.
Let's all be on the lookout for an email tomorrow because I just want to finalize getting to the corporations on the amount we're going to ask for. So once we hear from Charmaine, let's just make a decision via email and Eric will include you on those emails.
Sure. Okay.
Thank you
Yeah,
all so much.
Get with Margie.
Yeah.
Okay, good night, everybody. Charmaine, I'm immediately gonna send you that cover sheet that's required by the city.
Okay, I got it. Thanks.
Thank
Good
you.
night. Thank you.
Bye. Buzz, I'll email you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Uh,